Hey, welcome to the broadcast. My name is John Mayfield, the real estate tech guy, and we're going to do some live streaming today on both our YouTube channel and our Facebook channel. So you want to make sure you subscribe. I'm going to be trying to go live maybe more than one time per day. I want to be covering as much information as we can, especially state material information for all of the states that we are approved in. I'm finding most of the students are having a lot of difficulty with the state exam. It's funny, I get a lot of students who went to someone else's school, could not pass, and they find me on YouTube, and that's great. Thank you so much. So be sure and subscribe, and these are the only two places I will be streaming the majority of the content as we're going over today will be through YouTube and Facebook. Now today, and actually the next few days, we're going to just focus on Missouri. We're going to jump over to probably Oklahoma and Florida. We'll be doing Virginia, Utah, Hawaii, Indiana, all of the states that we are approved in, and even covering some Kansas and so forth. So I'm excited to work with you. I want to get right into the material. And so again, the way this will work is it's all live. I could mess up. There could be some issues or problems. Bear with me. You can ask questions if you want in the chat box, okay? So I'll come back and check it periodically. They should come over through the Restream chat field. So feel free if you have any questions to ask those, but let's get right into the material. And again, I'm going live right now. It's 11:47 a.m. We're going to cover a little ground. I've got other work I have to do, but I may come back at 3 or 4 o'clock this afternoon and do some more streaming. So eventually these will all be in a playlist where you can go watch those and prepare for the exam. So we're covering Missouri law. I'm going to cover actually right now, and my board has gone to, there we go. We should be back up and ready to roll here. My board went to sleep on me. My apologies. So I want to cover what we call the license, information for licenses. And I'm pulling this right from the Missouri Real Estate Commission website. There's a couple of items when you go to the Real Estate Commission website, you can click on a button and there's what they call the rules, and then there's the statutes. And so we can go in, we're actually in the rules section right now, and you can see this is a rule that the Real Estate Commission has for licenses. Now you may be asking, well, John, what is the difference between rules and statutes? Well, that's a great question, and I want to kind of cover that for you right now. What you need to understand is that with the rules, and let me see if I can get this to kind of zoom in a little bit. There we go. Law is a little harder to change from time to time with the state statute. So the way most states operate is that there is real estate law or law for real estate licensees that's put into place. And within the law, the statute provides the real estate commission or the department, whichever state you were in, to have the opportunity to create rules that you and I as licensed real estate sales associates and brokers have to follow. Rules are a little easier to get changed from time to time, and things change, business practices change, COVID happened, so rules had to be changed to accommodate for different ways to deliver continuing education and so forth. So we're actually inside the rules. These are rules that are made up within the commission to help them govern us a little bit easier and provide methods that you and I have to follow and abide by. Hopefully that's kind of John Mayfield's layman terms, and probably many instructors have a much better way of explaining that than what I just did, but hopefully that helps you out. So in this specific section, according to the broker's exam, so I'm just looking at the brokers, and if you're a salesperson and you can understand the broker side, well, you're going to be just fine, right? But on the broker's part of the exam, there will be there'll be 7 items from what we're going to cover and go over. So I'm going to get rid of this first little section here because we don't really need this page. So we'll get rid of that page and we'll bring this page on over. And this page right here, I'm just going to kind of set off to the side for a little bit. So let's see if we can bring this up just a little bit bigger. And we'll go through, well, there we go. I think I had it maybe as big as we can go. So that's fine. Hopefully you can read this okay, and I'm going to kind of go through this for you. The first paragraph here. So what do we have when we look at this first paragraph? It's really talking about licenses will be granted to, and we have a couple of items that you can see here. Number one, they could grant a license to a person or persons, right? And you'll notice right in this next paragraph, they can also give these to corporations, partnerships, and I'm going to abbreviate just to help us out here. Associations is another one. I won't abbreviate that because that would not look real good. So we have corporations, associations, partnerships, whose officers, associates, or partners present, and here's the key, satisfactory proof to the commission. So all of these people have to provide satisfactory proof to the commission of, let's just look at this here, and I'll change of good moral character. In other words, they're going to run an FBI check. You have to have fingerprints done, but they want to make sure that you're of good moral character. Now stop and think about it. We're helping people with some of the biggest financial decisions they will ever make. People going in houses. It's sad to think, but they don't want people who've been convicted of some type of forgery or fraud or even drug issues, because there have been problems with, believe it or not, real estate agents who've taken medicines out of a bathroom cabinet. Now, those are the types of things that the commission has to look at in order to protect the public. Very important for that. So, good moral character, we can see here, bear a good reputation for honesty, integrity, and fair dealing, and are competent to transact the business of a broker or salesperson in such a manner to safeguard the interest of the public. So I want you to always think about that when you see exam questions, is if this scenario that you're presented with in the problem, if that scenario could pose a risk to the public, chances are they could be denied a license. Now, they love to give you a question with lots of information about a person or the background of a person or various items that could be going on, and you just have to ask yourself, don't draw too much into it. Could this be, because of what this person has had happen in the past, could it prevent them from getting a real estate license? And the answer is probably yes, it could. Now, one of the things people always ask me is, well, John, back when I was 18 years old, I was with some friends, we goofed up, we broke into a house, we stole something, I got caught, I shouldn't have done that, I cleaned my act up, and I'm 52 years old today, and my record is spotless and clean. Is that going to prevent me from getting a license? And the answer is, I don't know. However, you have to be honest on your application. If there is something in your past that has happened, the best thing that you can do is just to be honest on your application. Sometimes people will try to leave a skeleton in their closet thinking it's not going to fall out. And the problem is, if you have your fingerprints done, and if the highway patrol comes back and has that on your record and you've never disclosed it, then they could deny you a license. So, because of one thing, remember the word honesty over there? Well, you weren't honest on your application, so you could be denied a license. So I always tell people, just be honest, disclose what's happened. If you need to get some letters from some friends or people who've known you before and after and can testify to your character, never hurts to do that. Honesty is always the best policy. That's going to give you the opportunity to be able to get that license. So remember that. So I'm going to put a sticker here. We have some stickers. And I'm going to just put a thumbs up. And so we're going to put the, I think I can do that. Oh, there's the sticker right there. So you need to know that, okay? You're going to see a question there. Now, the second part of this, so that's number one, really just talking about safeguarding the public interest. Honesty, integrity, those types of items, all right? So make sure you understand that. We all ought to be on the same page. It shouldn't be a big problem for you there. Now, the second paragraph we look at here talks about all applications for license shall be made on forms approved by the commission and completed and signed by the applicant. Well, that makes sense. I don't think we're too much there. The commission may deny issuance of a license to any application submitting an incomplete application or an application containing any false or misleading information, or to any applicant failing to submit the correct fees with an application. So, got to have the right fees, the right form, needs to be signed, and you need to tell the truth. Now, remember what I said earlier? I said you could have a problem if you had a situation that happened years ago and you're thinking, oh, that happened when I was 18, I'm 28, 38, 48, 52 years old, so that happened 34 years ago. Surely the Real Estate Commission's not going to worry about that. And the answer is, that's not being truthful. They could deny your license. So you got to be honest and upfront. And read those questions if you see that scenario. They don't put the right fee in, they didn't use the right form. All of those things should make sense, okay? I asked someone the other day, so I'm going to be honest with you and truthful. At one time I smoked cigarettes, okay? You're probably saying, John Mayfield, you never smoked. And so I'm thinking, well, when I was in high school, early college, and I quit February 20th, 1981, when I was 21 years old. So I still remember the day I quit smoking, February 20th, 1981. And the other day I was at the doctor's office, and I'm 63 now. And she's like, or 62, I won't be 63 till next month. And she asked, do you smoke? And I was like, she doesn't need to know I smoked. That was way back yonder, right? Well, if the Real Estate Commission, if that was a question, have you ever smoked cigarettes? And I'm like, well, I quit in 1981. No, That's not being truthful, is it? To the Real Estate Commission, they asked me that question, so I need to disclose that. Okay, little side humor to keep us enjoying our time together here as we go through the license information. So, I was going to move that up, but I won't. The third paragraph, you got to know all of these, okay? I'm gonna just get rid of some of this stuff here so I can move this up. So the third paragraph, let's go through this. All individuals applying for an original Missouri real estate license after December 31, 2010 must provide acceptable proof of have submitted fingerprints to the Missouri State Highway Patrol's approved vendor for both Missouri State Highway Patrol, Federal Bureau of Investigation, and so forth. Here's what you need to know for the exam. You've got to get fingerprinted and send that in. Now, excuse me. Again, I wouldn't panic about this. I mean, some of you might be watching and saying, gosh, I did have something that happened 10 years ago or 15 years ago. If you're just honest and you provide, you just go to the commission and say, hey, this happened in my life. I'm not proud of it. I've changed. And here's some testimonies or letters from people who know me before or after or know me now. I think that's going to be, that will work to your advantage. So don't freak out about that. I have seen many students going way back through my life courses that I've done who shared some very confidential information with me, things they were not very proud of and they wish had never happened in their life, and they were able to get a license. But they were truthful and they were honest, and so they turned that into the commission. Now, I have no idea what the commission will or won't do, but you are going to be fingerprinted, so you need to know about the fingerprints, okay? That is another item that you will probably see on the exam. And this went into effect after 2010. Now, they're not going to ask you that question, but they are going to ask you if you have to be fingerprinted, and you have to say yes. And the fees for that are paid directly to the Highway Patrol, so you will get those and they will send them to the Real Estate Commission. So very important there. Now let's come down here to paragraph 4. We're talking about salespersons. And there's several things that we need to know regarding getting your salesperson's license. Number 1, now we're going to talk about salesperson. You have to, first of all, be 18 years of age or older. Here is something you need to know that is kind of interesting, and I've actually seen this happen. By the way, I got my license when I was 18 years old. I have had students who, let's just say that the student's name is Tom, and Tom will turn 18 on October the 1st. Okay, that's his 18th birthday. Tom begins the course in June, finishes the course August 1st. Now, this is the 48-hour course, so we're talking about the 48-hour course. Tom finishes it on August 1st. From this date forward, Tom has 180 days to pass the exam, so he has to pass the tests. Both tests, the state and the national, we'll talk about that. And Tom also has to do the fingerprints, remember that? And Tom also has to take a 24-hour practice course. Tom needs to have his broker sign this and get all of that to the commission within 180 days from August 1st. So let's count on our fingers. That will be September, October, November, December, January, February 1 is what Tom will have on his certificate. So Tom has to get all of that done by February 1st. Well, let's just say Tom passed the exam on August the 10th. He can get his fingerprints done. He's got the 24-hour practice course done. He's passed the exams. Can Tom apply for a license? And the answer is no. He cannot do that until when? The date of his birthday, October the 18th. So he'll just have to hold on to everything, and on October the 18th, he could apply for his license. And remember, he has until February the 1st, 180 days right here. So everything's going to be fine for Tom. So what I wanted you to know from this scenario is that Tom can start the school at age 17. Tom can go take the exams at age 17, but Tom will have to wait until he turns 18 before he can apply for his license, okay? The moral of the story is you wouldn't want to start school as a 17-year-old until probably, 2 or 3 months before you turn 18 or 4 months before you turn 18, because you've got to finish the school, and that's when your 180 days will begin, and you're going to have to take your exams, get fingerprinted, have the broker sign your license, and then apply for your license. But you will have to wait until you turn 18. I hope that makes sense. So just did not want to confuse you a lot here, but I did want to give you a scenario where you could have an exam question about a student who basically wanted to start school at the age of 17, and what does that person have to do? Well, they are going to have to wait until they turn 18 before they can actually apply for a license. I was thinking that the eraser was a little bit larger. I have another board I can write with, but I was trying to use this program a little bit more, but we'll be fine here. So, okay, there we go. So we're talking about salespersons. So you have to be 18 years of age or older. You have to be you have to attend a 48-hour pre-license course. So you have to attend a 48-hour pre-license course. And remember, this is very, very important. I'm going to put a sticker right here. This is like super important, is that once you complete the school, the clock begins to tick. And at that point, you have to get everything done and get your application to the MREC within 180 days or 6 months. And when does the clock begin to tick? Whenever you finish or complete the 48-hour course. Now, you also need to take a 24-hour practice course. We include that with our materials. So 24-hour practice course. I just redid my practice course, and I tell you what, I'm very, very excited about it. Has lots of great information that really, I think that you are faced in the real world. So it's practical information, and I'm really excited about it. And so that you have to take as well, the 24-hour practice course. And then we also know that you have to have fingerprints done, right? And remember, that's through the Missouri Highway Patrol, and you pay your fees to them for that. And then you also need to sign your application. I'm gonna sign your application, and you need to have your broker sign that you go to work for. As a salesperson, and this is on the exam, you cannot hold your license on your own. You're going to have to affiliate with a broker. And the other item is you're going to have to pay the correct fees, and we'll talk about that in another session, for your salesperson's license. So let's go back over here, see if I missed anything. Every application for original salesperson shall be accompanied by proof acceptable to the commission that the applicant has met all applicable requirements of sections 339010. And so this is referencing the law. See how we're in the rules now. So we'll go back over and look at the law, but everything that it's there, and I just talked about most of that. Here you can see the 48-hour course, the salesperson pre-examination course, prior to the date of the examination. Have to do that within 6 months. We talked about that, didn't we? And it has to be you either have to have a receipt affixed by the U.S. Postal Service or a recognized common carrier that is hand-delivered to the Missouri Real Estate Commission during regular business hours. And again, that has to be done within 180 days. We talk about that down over here, this section here. Okay, so all of that has to be taken care of. Now, number 2, proof of satisfactory completion of both the national and state portions of the required examination. So you've got that was one item there. I think I put that over here. Let's take a look. You have to, I did not have that here, so we will put that here. You have to pass the exams, the state exams. And that's, I'm going to put both because we have a national and a state. So you have to pass both the state and national exams. And you also have to have proof of the 24-hour practice course. We had that there, right? Original salesperson type applications postmarked after August 1st. Now, this could be a broker's question. What they're saying here is that if a salesperson application is postmarked August 1st through September 30th of every even-numbered year, will be issued a license for the subsequent licensing period without being required to obtain continuing education. So let's talk about that. Because again, and you could see this as a salesperson exam question as well. We renew our license. I'm going to jump over here. We renew our license every licenses. I think. I hope that's right. Let's do this. We'll abbreviate. Now again, these are study sessions. We got to have fun, right? You're in class with me, so let's have some fun. So you renew your license every 2 years. You'll need to know this for the exam. Brokers renew on or before June 30th. Sales associates or salespersons, any type of a salesperson license, September, on or before September 30th, and these are always even years. So I'm recording this on 2023. It's not a renewal year. Next year on 2024, that will be an even year, right? So that would be a renewal year. Now, let's connect the dots here. S for salesperson, S for September. That's how I remember it. And brokers have to renew first because they're in charge. Now, broker salespersons, you also fall on the June 30th, but any type of broker license is first, and that's June 30th. And salespersons, just remember the S for salesperson, S for September, is second. Now, why do brokers have to renew first and we do it in June? Is the fact that you can't be licensed as a salesperson if your broker doesn't renew their license. So brokers have to renew first. Now, brokers, and I'm sure this is probably a test question, if the broker doesn't renew their license by June 30th of even years, what happens to their salespersons? Their license really need to go back to the commission because they have no broker. You didn't renew your license on time, therefore your agent's license are expired. I had a broker just this last year, not mentioning any names, but a broker forgot to renew their license. They got busted by the commission. They said this, that, and the other, and the commission said, sorry, you got to take the 24-hour practice course and pay the delinquent fees. And the broker was like all upset and wondering, they had paid me for continuing education, but they never completed their continuing education. And I looked at my system and I said, well, you only did one class in January. And this was like July, and they're like arguing with me about, well, and I'm like, wait a minute, don't be mad at me and don't argue with me. Your license is expired. If I was you, I would be quiet, get off the phone, finish the 24-hour course and get your license renewed ASAP, and do not practice any real estate because you're not a licensed broker, okay? So you have to renew first, brokers, and then your salespersons will have to renew on September 30th. So let's go back to this little place right here that we were looking at. What are they talking about in this paragraph? Well, what they're saying is this: if it is August 1 all the way up to September 30th, let's make sure that's what they said there. It says right here, if the application is postmarked, and read those questions carefully because that's where they can trick you. If it's postmarked August 1st through September 30th, so again, do not forget the word postmark because they could put that in the in the question somewhere. If it's postmarked in this area, they're going, this is for salespersons too. I want to make sure we understand that. They will waive the CE for that period. So they're going to basically, let's just go out here to 2024. If it was between August 1st and September 30th of 2024, and this is an original issuance, okay? The first time you get issued a salesperson's license, and you're in August 1st, it's postmarked August 1st, 2024, they're going to waive the CE, and you are actually going to have a license that's issued set to expire 2026. So between 2024 and 2026, you will need to do your continuing education, okay? That's original issuance for salespersons, that window between August 1 and September 30th. Then the Real Estate Commission will actually issue your license for the next renewal period and waive any CE. Now, I've had students that will say to me, gosh, it's August 1st. That's 2 months. I think I'll just wait and get my license issued after October 1. And I say to them, what if you could have listed a house and sold it, in that 60-day period? You just never know. So it's your call, but I just want you to understand how that works. All right? Now, let's keep moving on through. Just have a little bit more we want to go through. We're going to talk about broker types of license. And so we're down here on number 6. Every application for original broker type license shall be accompanied by proof acceptable to the Commission that the applicant has met all applicable requirements of the license law, and these rules including but not limited to, well, first of all, this is kind of some really good stuff you need to know for the test, okay? Especially if you're taking the broker's exam. You need to have evidence of having been an actively licensed Missouri salesperson, so you have to have been a salesperson, or holding an active real estate license in another state or jurisdiction for no less than 24 of the last 30 months. No less than 24 of the last 30 months. So you have to be a salesperson either in Missouri or another state for 24 of the last 30 months. Okay, everybody with me there? You have to go through a 48-hour broker course known as the Broker Pre-Examination Course, no more than 6 months prior to the receipt date as affixed by the United States Postal Service or another courier that would be acceptable, and delivered to the Missouri Real Estate Commission, and proof of satisfactory passing both the state and national portion of the broker exam. So just like we talked about over here with the salesperson side, we now have the brokers, which, and I'm just going to put asterisks, has a 48-hour broker course you have to take. And by the way, we offer that at Global Real Estate School. You have 180 days to pass the exams. Now, there's no fingerprints here, and there is no 24-hour course for the broker. So notice, I'm just passing the exam, completing the school. It's a broker school. We know you'd have to be 18 years of age or older, and we know you have to pass both the national and state exams, and we know that you have to do that within 180 days. The other key item here is you have to have been a salesperson for 2 years, 24 months out of the last 30 months, 24. Again, you have to have been licensed for 24 months out of the last 30 months. I guess there could be a period where you let your license lapse or you turned it in or something, but basically you have to have been a salesperson for 2 years, and it has to be within a 30-month period. I think what they're saying is, if I had a license for 1 year and then I came so I had a license for a year and then I put it, I was expired, and then 5 years later I come back and I have a license for another year. Well, I couldn't apply for a broker's license, could I? Because it's not within that 24 to 30 month window. Does that make sense? You really cannot, maybe there are people out there who just had a salesperson's license for a year and then they went hiatus for 2 or 3 years and then they come back 3 years later and they get their salesperson's license again. And so they've had it another 12 months and they say, oh, I could take my 12 months from 5 years ago and put it with this 12 months and go to John's broker's course, get my broker's license. And the answer is no, because it has to be 24 of the last 30 months. So don't forget that. That's how they're going to try to trip you up on the exam. And so you got to read those questions very carefully. Now, brokers will renew on June 30th. But let's take a look at this. This is the same similar paragraph as this paragraph right up here. And what they're saying is, if you are postmarked May 1st through June 30th of every even numbered year, will be issued a license for the subsequent licensing period without being required to obtain continuing education or submit a renewal application. So if your license comes in that period, May 1st through June 30th, then they're going to issue that license for the next period, okay? Again, applicants have 6 months to complete the study, to pass the required exam, and apply for the license. So very important that you remember that 6 months, and that 6 months begins, the clock starts ticking when you finish the 48-hour course. Looking over here, the respective pre-examination course must be completed and the completion certificate received prior to the candidate attempting to take the required exam. You will see a test question on that right there. And this is a very important paragraph. And what this means is you cannot set up your exam until you have finished the 48-hour course. So I had a student who went online and set up their exam for Monday. It's kind of like today's Thursday, so it was Friday. The student went online, set up their exam for Monday. Now, the testing agency tells you up front, have you finished the school? And we're getting ready to change some of this in Missouri, where I have to actually notify PSI that you finished the school. So we'll be uploading this, but I just want to make this clarification so you understand how this works. So the student set up their test because they wanted to go Monday to take the test. They had not finished my 48-hour course, but they had planned to finish it over the weekend. They only had take their final test and some things. Well, when you look at that paragraph back over there, it clearly says the respective pre-examination course must be completed and the completion certificate received prior to the candidate attempting to take the required examination. So in this example that I'm sharing with you, the student was not being honest because the testing agency asked you the question, have you finished the school? And they marked yes. Well, here's the moral of the story, or here's what happened. They would not issue that agent a real estate license. He wanted me to backdate it. I can't do that. This is how I make my livelihood. I'm not going to cheat or lie. They only want to give schools, and I'm a licensed broker, right? That would not be honest and good character, all those things we talked about earlier. So just don't do that. Wait until you've completed the school and you've printed out your certificate, then you can sit for the examination. So just want you to be sure and understand you can't do that. So they want to make sure you know all of this information. Now, number 10, the commission may require an applicant for license to furnish a recent passport type photograph and court documents, as well as any other information deemed necessary to the commission to determine the applicant's qualification for license. Basically, if they want to ask for things, they can do that. And the commission reserves the right at its discretion to hold any application for a reasonable length of time for an investigation. So if you see an exam question that says, so-and-so applied for a license, how long does the real estate commission have to investigate them? There's no time period. They could be investigating me now into my background. So they can always be looking, and there's no time limit that says, well, just because they issued you a license doesn't mean they can't come back later if they do their investigation and find out something on you and pull it back. So always be truthful, always be honest, and understand that there's no time frame for the commission to investigate. Now, a couple of other little things here. We're talking about license examinations. The form, content, method of administration, passing standards, and schedule of written license examinations shall be determined by the commission, and the date and place of examination shall be announced as far in advance as is practicable. In conducting examinations, the commission may utilize professional testing services, which they do. So let's go down here. I'm going to try to bring this one up now. So we just have a little bit more. Fees are paid to the fees payable by application for broker and salesperson's license exam shall be established in agreement with the commission. We'll talk about fees later. And no applicant shall be permitted to take any memoranda, pamphlet, book, or paper into the exam. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. If you do or get caught cheating or anything like that, they're going to deny you a license. Well, there we go. Good job on all of that. We covered, I have to go back and look to see what rule that was. I'll pull that up here, but I believe that was Chapter 4. So we covered licenses. I'm looking at my outline here, and it tells me, just so you will know, that there are 7 questions. Again, this is the broker's outline book, but applications for license. We'll cover some more of this. Qualification for expiration and renewal. We know that license expire every even year. Brokers June 30th, salesperson September 30th. There's another item there on fictitious names that we're going to cover that will be part of this section, and individual license business names. But most all of this, broker, salesperson, salesperson's license, we've got some other information, and I'll make that part 2. I might even come back later today to wrap that up. But everything we covered from that chapter, hopefully you know a little bit better now and will help you as we move along. So again, you got to subscribe to the YouTube channel. I'm going to try to go out and put these in some playlists later today, add some new cover art. I'll try to send this out to my students as well. And go over to the Facebook page too, Global Real Estate School, because those are the only 2 platforms I'm streaming live to. And I may be back later today. I got to get back and do some other work, but I've got to keep live streaming for my students and for you all. I know I've taken some time off and had a lot of things going on, but I'm just going to really push myself to jump in there. If I can do 10 minutes or 20 minutes, or as we did today, maybe close to an hour, 45 minutes or so, I want to be able to do that for you. So hopefully I'll be back on later today. We'll pick up and keep moving on in this section called licenses. But in the meantime, keep studying hard, tell others about Global Real Estate School, and thank you so much for your encouraging words and for your support here at Global Real Estate School. As always, I appreciate your business and your friendship and your kind words. Hope you have a great day, and I'll be back maybe today. Who knows?